Well, here we are, man, with issues, back again, just as flawless as ever.
I don't know about flawless.
Nah, it's flawless. We're right on time. Don't look. Nobody look. Man, it's been a real humdinger.
It has been.
Oh my gosh! I forgot. We have our preliminary conversation where we talk about all things show related and non-show related, and I forgot to mention. So I go to the dermatologist for like a year. This will be great for people. I go to the dermatologist, and they're doing like they just scope you out and make sure there's nothing that looks strange. Basically, to say, oh, this might be something, that sort of thing. So I'm sitting there in my little robe with the slots on the back or whatever, and this lady's, exploring me like the Mars rover, and she gets to my back and she goes, I'm like, yeah, well,
You want to clarify what that hum's about?
yeah. So she says, all right, well, this one's probably fine. I'm like, oh, great. It said, but I'm going to take it off and send it off. It's like, okay.
What's she talking about? A mole?
A mole.
Yeah.
So like, there's a mole, and she's like, you know what? We're gonna take it off, and we're gonna send it away. It's like, okay, great. Whatever, it's fine. It's probably fine. That's good enough for me. So she injects it or whatever stuff, numbs it up, and I feel the sawing in the back.
Oh my!
I feel it moving. I'm like, so my wife to say, I wanted to tell her to get a picture of it, but like she wasn't gonna do it. So they send this thing off. This was a week or two ago, and so we're going out to eat in the large town of Beulahville at the Duff's Cafe there, which is it's just a collection of gravy and various foods, which is great.
Yeah. And
we get a phone call, and she calls my wife. It's like one of the nurses or something, or receptionist. It's probably a receptionist, not a nurse. Yeah. She calls her, and she's like, well, has anyone called you about Zach's results? I'm sitting there because she's on speakerphone. I was like, what's she talking about? And she starts talking about this thing they sent off. And she goes through this whole thing. It's like building this anticipation, this like negative anticipation. It's like, well, this is this, and it's called this. And she cranks out this word with like 50 letters in it. And I have no idea what you're talking about. I hope that means mole, Yeah. And it got to the end of it, and she's like, but, it's just fine. It's benign. Like the whole time, it's like I was going to die. That's what it felt like.
Just say that. Just say.
Yeah, I don't need to know what it's called.
It's non-cancerous.
Oh my gosh. So I'm sitting there, and my wife says, and my wife, she's just gotten the other really lofty news that's really already dragging her down. And she says her heart dropped. I was like, well, I'm sitting here, and she's more worried about it than I am, but I'm thinking it's something. The way this lady sounds, she acts like she's never done this before or something. Yeah. Calling people, telling them it's okay. It's the least okay I've ever felt during one of those conversations. But evidently it's fine. But I'll be back there next year to do this again, I guess, because, it's like, good grief,
I guess I just never think about that. Like, I would never think to make myself an appointment to go to the dermatologist.
Well, you know what? We work outside a lot. My father has he has like moles. So I have like moles. There's like one right here, which is no longer with me. There was one on the back of my head they cut off when I was a kid. So I mean, it's worth it for me to check it out because of those.
Yeah.
But I don't ever walk around I don't work shirtless ever. I mean, I didn't in HVAC because you get insulation all over you, crawling around and stuff like that, or making duct. So I always just I wear a shirt. And sometimes you wear a long shirt because you don't want to get sunburned if you're working outside.
When I was a kid, I worked outside in the yard with no shirt on, but my entire adult life, I've always at least wore one shirt, wore a T-shirt.
Oh yeah, me too. It's been years and years since I did any real work outside with my shirt off. Because back then I was like, I'm gonna get a tan. I don't care about that anymore.
And I don't know if you are, but I'm not even like a tank top guy. I don't wear tank tops either. Like
I wear T-shirts.
It's got to be a cotton T-shirt too. Like these guys now wear like there's like, I don't even know what material it is, like that silky. Oh, it wicks the sweat, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's supposed to.
I think I have a couple of those. My wife got
keep you cool and stuff. I hate those things. Just give me a regular old cotton T-shirt, and I'm happy.
Yeah, well, I wore, I don't know how Christian it is, but it was an old Guinness shirt that I had when I was working today. I don't even know how I got a Guinness shirt because I've drank Guinness one time in my life, and I didn't care for it.
Right.
I think I was like, I wasn't even of age. I was like 20 and a half years old, something like that. We went to a restaurant. It was like TGI Fridays or something, and I drank someone else's drink. He said he wanted me to try it, so I did not like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a crappy week, I think.
Yeah, it sucked.
So,
but
yeah.
here we are. I'm building an office. You wish to work at one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That's the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to be very specific about mine. But we have some medical news come in. That's not me, and we've decided that I'm going to build an office outside to do my stuff, and we're going to separate my mother-in-law from my daughter so they're not in the same room. So I am hastily building an office, and I wish I could have done a picture or something like that. Because I did some of the floors today, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm always showing the pictures and stuff. Like, look what I did! Look what I did! Like I'm the only one capable of it.
What are you gonna do for air in it? You gonna put a mini split in it or something?
Yeah, put a mini split in it.
This guy, shameful.
Hey, if a 1.5 tons could be made to work, I would use it for sure. I would absolutely use it. I don't want no mini split on my unit.
Hey, just put a sleeve in the wall and put a P-tack in.
It's too loud. I can't do it because it's too loud. Because of the recording.
That's true.
I would absolutely, if I could have put because when I grew up, I had a building on my mom and dad's property, and it had a through the wall Amana heat pump.
Yeah.
And it was like a freight train, but it was a great unit. It's dead now. It's still in the wall, but it's dead.
Yeah.
No, but here we go. Here's let me see if I can. There's the floor system so far.
Nice.
There's one joist, and then it rained. Actually, it rained before that, and I was gathering all my tools and putting them in the cab of the truck. Then it stopped, and I was like, okay. And I got back out. I nailed in the little nailer board and stuff like that, and then it started to rain again. So I was like, all right, forget this.
Yeah,
but
I was just joking about the P-tack. I hate those things.
I don't mind that stuff. I mean, I like stuff that's very simple. So, I mean, that was fine.
I'll tell you my backstory on P-tacks real quick. When I was an installer, it wasn't the first job I did, but it was one of the first jobs. It was within the first 6 months of me being an installer. One of the salesmen sold replacing all the wall sleeves in a hotel that had like 200 and something rooms. So I spent several days over there literally pulling P-tack, unplugging them, pulling them out the sleeve, bending the sleeve up, getting it out the wall, getting a new sleeve in there, getting it screwed into the wall, sliding the P-tack back in, plugging it back up. I did that all day. And all the screws were rusted out, so the heads would break off or round off. So you'd have to take a flathead and pry the screw out or pry the sleeve up out of the screw. It was just, from that point, I hated P-tacks.
I can understand that. So what were the sleeves, just all rusty and ugly? Is that the idea?
Well, it's on St. Simon's Island, so you got salt water.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Or you let me rephrase that. You got salt in the air, so it eats it up. And they didn't have, I guess originally when they built the hotel, they didn't put those, those little short pieces of, it's basically 3/8 vinyl tubing that you're supposed to put on the outside of the sleeve where the water actually drains out. None of them had that. And so it had water running in the sleeve and rusting out. And so they wanted them all replaced.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds monotonous.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want that job.
Hey, put a barred unit on the wall. You could do that too.
I know, right? It'd be like a classroom at the school or something like that.
Yeah, like what is it? What they used to call it, the outdoor classroom or whatever.
Yeah, classrooms in a box. So we need a couple extra classrooms because our class, student teacher ratio is like 35-1 now. So
that's right. And they buy one of those, like, I always called it like a construction site office. It's like a mini trailer with a bar unit on the end of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like, is this thing going to be here next week? You know what I'm saying? It looks like one of the things that they're about to hook up and drag away.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
that
sounds like a whole lot of fun that I don't envy you over.
Oh no, it'll I just hope I can do it fast enough. Like I was telling you before, I enjoy the projects and stuff. I mean, it don't have to be 95 outside. That's optional, but I like the projects.
Has it got that hot there yet? It's been hot here.
It definitely
2 days.
has.
2 or 3 days. It's been ridiculous.
Dude, that athletic banquet I went to, they held it outside because COVID's over and they wanted to celebrate outside. I'm not sure why. It was like 94 degrees then.
Yeah, I think it was 95 today, maybe even higher than that.
It was pretty hot today. I wish I did there. I was outside all day and I can attest to the fact it was 90 something.
Yep, the high was 95 today.
Yeah.
But luckily, it looks like it chills out for about the next week. The high is 88 for the next 3 days. So,
Well, I just did the same thing because after it rained on me, because I was not expecting rain. It wasn't supposed to rain as far as I could tell. So it rained on me twice. I was like, well, this is crap. So I looked at the little weather app that I have because we're gonna finish staining the porch too. Memorial Day, we're having people over. So let's try to finish this stuff. So when they come over, they're like, "Wow, these people are great," or whatever people think of people's porches. You drive up, say, "Let's look good," so they'll think better of us, or who cares?
don't worry about pleasing people, Zach.
Hey, that's a good one right there. I heard that somewhere. I can't remember. Oh yeah, Bible. That's right. So we want to finish it, but it's going to rain. So I mean,
Yeah.
thunderstorms are likely every day until August or September. Actually, October probably, because you have them random ones that pop up because it's 99 degrees outside.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with my home improvement stuff. Did anyone ask? Probably not.
I ain't done any home improvement stuff. It's been busy, man. We've had vacation Bible school at church all week, which I didn't go a couple nights because honestly there was really no need for me there. It was mostly women in classrooms with different age groups and stuff, and the men were just like hanging out. So I was like, well, I've got yard work and stuff I can do. So I mowed the grass and tore down some old fence and done this and done that. So, but work's been busy and hectic, and I had to play service tech for the past 2 days, which was really crazy for me.
Yep.
So, I'm telling you, man, which I'm sure you probably know better than anybody. Like, what's the longest time you went without running a service call, and then all of a sudden you got to get right back in the saddle and go do it?
Oh, that's a good question. It would have been several months probably.
Yeah.
Because there's always one that pops up randomly, and I don't know. It depends. I enjoy them if I sign up for them. So, and we're in agreement there. So if that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, that's good. If
Yeah.
like a family member would call, or your situation, we'll say two different things. Sometimes I'm not as excited about those.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that I kind of, I moved into management, and I kind of told myself, which this might be a stupid way to look at it, but I kind of told myself if I ever went back to running service calls, it would be for myself, that I would never do it for somebody else again.
Yep.
Because I'm kind of like you. Like, if it's on my terms and I price the job, I go about it how I want to, and all those things, I'm okay with it. I like fixing stuff. I like actually using my tools. So it's really not a the point is not running the service call. The point is the terms of the service call.
Yeah.
So that was eventful. But got through it. So
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Made it through it. Might have to do it again one day. Who knows?
yeah, I remember yesterday when I run one, I pulled up in the driveway and got my tool bag out and stuff, and I walk up to the front door and I'm like, this is different. I ain't done this in a while.
Yeah.
You got to put the smile on.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Sitting out there, like old ladies yelling at me and all this stuff, and then you sit there and here it is. I'm trying to do this right. Hold on. Hi, how are you today?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how it felt. And then like you walk in the house, they invite you, go, come on in. And you put shoe covers on and all that stuff, and then you're like, okay, what do I do now? Oh yeah, thermostat. Show me where your thermostat is.
Where's your filtration? Yeah.
And then it turns into, okay, do I want to start inside or outside? So you just got to get back in the rhythm of it. So.
Yeah. You know what? This is totally off the subject, but I'm really grateful that we're not in the future where people might have a dynamic of smell for this thing because I put this shirt on, but everything else that I have on has been what I worked in all day because I hadn't had time to take a shower yet. And you have a company shirt on, so I'm figuring that might be your issue too. But I bet we reek right now.
I bet I
that's
do.
The case.
And you know how when you sweat all day and you get that, what is it, like that salty feel to like your forehead,
yeah.
like you feel like you're wiping salt off your forehead. That's how I feel right now. Like I can feel it from where I've poured sweat all day, and I'm bald and I shave my head, so I have nothing to hold on to the sweat. It just runs all over my face when I start sweating.
Hey, dude, I wear one of them bandanas on my head when I'm working because that's what I did today. But after about an hour, it's saturated and it's dripping on my head. So
this is nasty, but I keep a rag or two in my truck because I'll occasionally walk to my truck and just wipe my whole head off because I'm just pouring sweat.
Dude, that's perfectly reasonable to me. It's only nasty to people who have not had to go through it. If you've worked outside or done a service job outside or something, I mean, I used to bring 4 shirts to work. I'd have a towel in the truck, it's all good.
You know you're sweating really bad when you walk by the homeowner. She's like, "Can I get you a water or something? It's really hot outside." And I'm like, "You're only saying that because I'm pouring sweat right now."
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm just dying over here, but no, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I've drank 200 ounces of water today, and I haven't peed yet. So there's a problem. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you there.
I remember working. That's just so gross, but it's like, it's true. I remember doing a job. It's like, I haven't peed all day. We've been drinking water all day. Are we still dehydrated?
Yeah, this isn't good. When you went all day and you ain't peed, you've been pouring sweat and drinking water, probably not a good thing.
Oh my God. I just had the most, I can't even say it because it's not a bad thing to say, but it's just so gross. I'm not going to say it. It's not, well, I'll tell you off the air or something.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's not too bad. I don't have leprosy. But you know who does have leprosy? Bible people. Segue. Give us a verse, Beaver.
Okay. Well, I will.
All right. Actually, don't be Jesus wept either. I don't want to hear Jesus wept.
No, I ain't. So we were talking about, I don't know if I've said it since we've been live, but I was not known for my patience and picking the right words today. We'll just say that. I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth and said some things I shouldn't have said. And it got me thinking about patience. What does the Bible say about patience? So made me think of Proverbs.
Oh, Old Testament, bro.
Proverbs 15, verse 18. Now, mind you, this is New Living Translation, so it's, broke down pretty basic. But it says, a hot-tempered person starts a fight. A cool-tempered person stops them. I think you got English Standard Version, right?
Yep.
Yours says a hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger quiets contention.
Yeah, that's right. Where are you reading that from then?
I got it on the screen.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So it just reminded me that I got to try to do better because I have always been. I don't know how you are, but I have been the majority of my adult life. I have been quick to anger. It doesn't take much for me to blow up. You can say the wrong thing one time and I will flip out and go down the rabbit hole. And then 2 hours later, look back on it and go, man, I really blew that way out of proportion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would describe my issue as it's almost like I will say things and I will know that it's not the right thing to say. That literally coming out of my mouth, like, why am I keeping talking? Don't I have control over this thing where the words are coming out? But it's like they keep coming out because my temper's poking me, or there's something inside me saying, "You tell him, you tell him, you tell him."
Yep.
That's my problem. And
Yeah,
that's
and it's when you're mad in the moment. I got every excuse in the book as to why I'm mad, and I feel like I'm justified. And then once I calm down and think about it for a little bit, I go, man, I was probably mostly in the wrong there. So I just need to be praying that the Lord gives me some patience and keeps me calm, because when I get fired up, I don't make good decisions. So
yeah, me neither. Me neither. Yeah, I was going to read this thing about anger, but I don't think it goes along too well with what you were saying. It's like a different idea. The whole murder. If you're angry with your brother, it's similar to murder and your brother. I don't think that really goes into that. But you said something else.
yeah.
You said you need to pray more about it. How do you typically pray? What do you do?
How do I typically pray?
I mean, like where? Because people pray in different places. I mean, what is your style? I want to say style, but it's not really style like the way you do it. It's just, when do you find time to do it? What's usually on your mind when you're doing it? What do you usually say?
Okay. Typically, mine is driving down the road. For the most part, most of the time I have a lot of drive time during the day, and so that's when I do my thinking. That's when I ponder on stuff, and that's normally when I talk to the Lord. Um, I'm really bad. Anna's very good about, she says prayers every night before she goes to sleep. I'm terrible for, I don't do that. I'm bad for not doing that, which probably be a good idea. But I am more so of a, when something's on my mind, I'm going to pray about it probably right then and there, because if
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I'll forget about it and I'll never pray about it later on. So I try to make it a point to pray right then and there. But as far as my style, it's more so of, um, I start off just by thanking him for the little things, for everything he does in my life, praising him for being the constant that he is. We're very inconsistent. One day we might do really good, the next day we might do terrible. One day we might be selfish, the next day we're not. Regardless of how we are, he's the same. So I thank him for being that way, even when I make stupid decisions and do, you know, not so Christian things. He's still the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank him for that. I tell him what's going on in my life. Um, and I'm big on telling him what I'm struggling with, but also emphasizing that I want his will, because I understand that his will for my life is better than anything that I can muster up for myself. So instead of being selfish and saying, I want this, I want that, help me with this, help me with that, I might ask for his help with something, but ultimately I want his will for the situation. So that's kind of how I approach it.
I think that's similar to what I do, because I'm kind of random. I don't go to a certain spot or do a certain thing or say a certain thing. I'll just, like I said, I've done it while walking, while driving, like you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I did it before the show when Jackson was playing in his sandbox. I said a prayer right there for him,
Yeah.
and I think whenever the moment strikes you, just like you say, seize the moment. Just take
Yeah.
take it right there, because that's natural. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's authentic, because something's
I,
on
th-
your mind. You're going to say
I
it.
think it's absolutely what you should be doing, because you're supposed to go to the Father about everything. It should be a daily thing. It should be a routine thing. And when you're struggling with something, he's the first one you should bring it to. So I think the best way to do that is right then and there when it's on your mind. Before I ever even talk to my wife about it or whoever, I want to talk to him about it first. So I try to make that a point.
Yeah, I think that's good. I don't remember if I've ever done this before, but the other day I was like, it's time for me to be the man God wants me to be,
Yeah.
and to disregard everything else. Say, what does God want me to do? So I'm in the car with my wife, And I said, let's pray here together. I never do that because I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you the truth because I felt awkward about it. But that's like
Yeah.
the awkward times. It's over. It's over. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna do this. That way we can set a precedent, and when this happens again, it's
Yeah.
like okay, let's do this. It's not this weird like, oh, what do you want to do? Huh? What?
Well,
So
here's it, real quick. I
hey,
hate
go
to
ahead.
cut you off, but it just made me think of something. I think it's very important that you understand that when you're trying to live a Christian life and you're trying to do things outside of what you normally were doing, it's going to be uncomfortable. You have to get through those uncomfortable things, like what they say in the Chosen. Okay, there's a scene there. It's right as Jesus is calling Matthew out of the tax collector booth and telling him to follow him. And Simon Peter is kind of upset about it. He's like, "What? Him? Why him? Uh, this is different. I've never seen anything like this before." And Jesus looks at him and says, "Get used to different." And I think we have to really incorporate that in our life, that sometimes you might have to pray for somebody and it might be a little awkward, but it's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I think so. I think once
But
you do it,
but
it's no longer awkward
yeah,
after you've done
but
it a few times.
I hate cutting you off. Please continue. So you pray with Melissa in the car?
I don't remember what happened now.
Well, I just
I'm
totally
just
ruined.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I totally ruined that.
I'm joking. No, well, the point is, I don't even remember the words we said in particular. It was just the fact that we were doing it there together,
Yeah.
in unison. And before it's like, okay, I pray by myself. But I have this woman that we're together, and we want God to be woven into everything that we do between each other and what we send out. So how
Yeah.
are we going to do that if we're not praying together, having these moments together? So
Yeah.
that was the idea. I'm sure it'll continue to be a little strange because it's new to us, but
Yeah.
I'm sure before too long it'll be like old hat, I think.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, that's a good thing. And it's kind of off topic, but, I think my wife, Anna, is really um, she has outside of prayer, she really has a way of, she's the one that calms me down. When I'm fired up about something like what we talked about before the show and stuff, when I'm fired up about something, she is the calm one that speaks realistically and makes me realize, yeah, Justin, that was stupid. So um, I'm just thankful for her, because I'd be a mess without my wife and without the Lord. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, usually whenever I do pray, uh, one of the things I say, Lord, thank you for loving me. I don't know why, but you're doing.
yeah,
Because it is really how I feel. It's like when you think about it, when you think about all the sin that you've been responsible for,
yeah,
it's just like, good grief. Just think back like a week. It's like, oh my gosh. But he keeps on loving, and you know what? This is something else. I was thinking the other day, I was like, what would I say if someone said, why do you believe what you believe? And this is what I came up with. This is what I told Melissa. I said, here's what I've come up with for if someone says, why do you believe what you believe? I say, because here's why I believe that Jesus is the Savior. It's because I don't want to believe in a world where he is not the Savior.
yeah,
So by default, I'm going to go with he's the Savior. And I just think it's so simple, because
yeah,
if this story isn't true, or this story, if someone's saying it isn't true, I'd rather live this lie than be with them.
yeah.
I don't believe that's
My
the case, but that's what I'm
my
saying.
my follow up, I think, is somebody says, "Why do you believe what you believe?" I'd say, "What's the alternative? That
Absolutely.
that we die, nothing happens." No, no, thank you. Um, I'm going to follow and praise the one that gives me eternal life and promises me a way better place than what we deal with here. Um, and I'm kind of like, you've always heard that too. I think you kind of touched on it just there too. Like, if I live my whole life and I'm wrong when it's all said and done, well, guess what? I still lived a good life, a good honorable life. I was a good person, and I did good unto others. Um, if I don't live my life that way, and it's true, I just ruined my eternity. So
Yeah.
I choose to follow Jesus.
Yeah. Mathematically, I'm going with Jesus too. You know, spiritually, mathematically, everything.
Yeah.
Hebrews is it's a really a good book. And I forget because it's been a while since I read it now. But I mean, we're talking here, and I see Hebrews 12:14, strive for peace with everyone and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God. See, that seems really important for some of these conflicts that we're going through, because we also got to
Yeah.
think about other people that we're conflicting against, because we want them to be in heaven too, even though that in that moment, you're pretty ticked off or you're going through something that makes you sad or angry, but we want everybody to be part of this with us. We should. I mean, maybe we don't in the split second because we're human, but we need
Yeah.
to be looking out for other people too, our brothers and sisters out there.
Hmm.
Tori, yeah, over
Yeah.
there. Yeah, there we are. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sitting
Oh
there
no.
reading to myself live.
I was just gonna
That's
say
fine.
on a on a high note, earlier in the week before before the end of the week took a crap. Earlier in the week, had a decent conversation with somebody, kind of you know making strides to make wrongs or make right on wrongs in my past, and I feel like it went fairly well. So uh, thankful for that. Like I told you, it was one of those things that I think when you're trying to do the right thing, when you're trying to live a good Christian life, and just like I told you, when we get on here weekly and we talk about the Bible and we talk about we should do this and we should do that, and this is where the church fails and this is where we're failing as a society, and this is where we do this and this and that, and then I look back uh, at things I done in the past, and it just eats you up. Even though I know that the Lord forgives us for the mistakes that we made, I still feel like you have a responsibility to do your best to right your wrongs. Um, so I extended the olive branch to right one of my wrongs, and one of the things that kind of really jumped out at me, and this is pretty serious. I mean, this is Leviticus, so this is
Oh, jeez.
Old Testament, you know, um, Old Testament, and God talking about sins and basically laying the law on what you're supposed to do. So this is Leviticus chapter 6, and I'm gonna go verse 1. I don't know. I think it's through. I think it's through 5, maybe. I don't know. How about I just read and then I'll figure it out. Then the Lord said to Moses, suppose one of you sins against your associate and is unfaithful to the Lord. Suppose you cheat in a deal involving a security deposit, or you steal or commit fraud, or you find lost property and lie about it, or you lie while swearing to tell the truth, or you commit any other such sin. If you have sinned in any of these ways, you are guilty. You must give back whatever you stole, or the money you took by extortion, or the security deposit, or the lost property that you found, or anything obtained by swearing falsely. You must make restitution by paying the full price plus an additional 20% to the person you have harmed. Uh, so that just jumped out at me. That's like, and this is God pretty seriously laying the law down, saying you don't do people dirty, and you don't take what doesn't belong to you. And if you do any of these things, you're going to make it right. And in fact, you should pay them an additional 20% to the person that you took from. And I'm like, man, here's God telling Moses what to do. There's no excuse for me doing somebody wrong. So
That's a really good passage right there. And Leviticus, in large, made me want to pull my hair out and throw it down a hill.
right,
But chapter 6, I had highlighted that, just what you read exactly, because it hit me
yeah,
the same way. It's really important.
yeah.
And then there was a bunch of stuff about turtle doves, and I tuned out. And how to slaughter
There,
a goat.
there, man, there's so much stuff in Leviticus. Yeah, I'm with you. And if you look at the chapters and the different passages and stuff, there's so much. It's like sins requiring a sin offering, procedures for guilt offering, sins
Yeah.
requiring a guilt offering, further
I,
instructions for burnt offering. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't
yeah,
have any hair, but I want to pull it out.
I was trying to read those. Let me tell you what I did. I said I got halfway through Leviticus, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not remembering what I'm reading,
Yeah,
and I need to do something different. I'm just going to come back to this later. So what I did was I'd watched a whole bunch of stuff about the first 5 books, which are, I guess, the Moses's, the Torah or whatever.
yeah,
And so I said, I'm going to go read Joshua. I'm going to take up where Joshua picked up from Moses. I'm going to read that. So I read like half of that, and then we get into dividing up land between the tribes of Israel, and it's like the same thing all over again. I'm skipping the dividing up the land and going to the next part, which I read Judges then. And Judges seems to be pretty interesting, and no one's dividing up land or going over how to kill a goat. Not
there
that
was
that's
some.
wrong.
I'm trying to figure out why I marked Leviticus chapter 26.
Let's see. Hey, let's see if we can figure this out in real time. Hold on. Leviticus 26. I never even got there. I did highlight something in Leviticus 26. Punishment for disobedience, I highlighted.
Yeah, I think that might have been, let's see, 14.
Oh. I got something for you that I don't even know if this is what you were talking about,
I'm
but it's
pretty sure
Leviticus
that's where I was
26.
going with it. Yeah,
Well,
punishments
it's not
for
even that one.
disobedience.
It's not that one. It's something that's
No.
right next to it. But you go ahead and do what you were actually going to do, and I'll do that one after.
I want to say, I wish I knew for sure.
You need to go with it. That's what. Let's just go with it.
Feeders.
Just start reading Leviticus.
This is okay. So how about I just read 26, starting in verse 14. However, if you do not listen to me or obey all these commands, and if you break my covenant by rejecting my decrees, treating my regulations with contempt, and refusing to obey my commands, I will punish you. I will bring sudden terrors upon you, wasting diseases and burning fevers that will cause your eyes to fail and your life to slip away. You will plant your crops in vain because your enemies will eat them. I will turn against you, and you will be defeated by your enemies. Those who hate you will rule over you, and you will run even when no one is chasing you. And he goes, thereafter, he just goes, it goes on and on and on. And everybody's saying, oh, he's going to give you diseases and make you die. And he's, I don't think so. There's a lot of stuff here, talking about, I will destroy your food supply so that 10 women will need only one oven to bake the bread for their family. You will ration your food by weight, and blah, it talks about all this stuff and spiting you and this and that. Everybody's like, man, he's what a harsh God. How could he say that to people? And then I read down here at the bottom, because this is a study Bible, so you can go to the bottom and it'll kind of give you context on what's going on and kind of break it down even further, even though New Living Translation is pretty straightforward. But sometimes I even need further than that. So I'm going to read their breakdown here at the bottom, and it's breaking down chapter 26, verse 14 through 39. So basically all the stuff he says he's going to do to you if you disobey him. And it says, here God warns his people about what will happen to those who are disobedient to God's law. After reading this, some might get the idea that God is harsh and unloving. It might seem that he delights in punishing those who refuse to do things his way. But this long list of warnings about the consequences of sin actually reveal God's love for his people. God doesn't want us to suffer. He doesn't want us. He doesn't want to punish us. But God also understands that the destruction also understands the destructive consequences of sin. He knows that certain activities will cause suffering to us and to those around us. So he warns us away from them, giving us a plan to follow that will lead us to holy and joyful living. God's plan, though viewed by some as restrictive, is actually the path to a life of true fulfillment. So, what I take from that and what I take from all the verses there is, there's a whole lot of stuff that you can take that in a negative way, but really what he's saying is I'm trying to help you. I'm
Hmm.
trying to help you see why this is that you shouldn't be disobedient and that why you should live your life this way, because ultimately it leads to a life of fulfillment. So if you'll just listen to me, you'll have a fulfilling life.
Yep.
So that really struck home with me.
That the part you just read was like about the only thing within about 10 pages that I highlighted. And on Leviticus 26:33, I read this after I read that. It says, "And I will scatter you among the nations, and I will unsheath the sword after you, and your land shall be a desolation, and your cities shall be a waste." Now, just think about this. You read what you just read, and you read that. Is it not exactly what happened to Israel whenever they started going away from God? I mean, to the T. I mean, he had them. Because remember, under Joshua, which is it's fresh for me, but
Yeah.
he was winning everything. Every battle, he would all the countries that he was promised. He was being faithful to God. He was getting all that stuff. And then what I found, because I'm reading Judges now, I'm reading Judges and Acts, and as soon as they turn away from God, what happens is they start losing. They start being slaves to different countries, and they come and eat their crops, just like it's saying here. Like the Moabites, I think, ate their crops, if I remember that correctly. It's really interesting how it's perfectly predicted here what happens to them later, and I think to this day maybe a little bit. You can see that.
This is how I take this is chicken spoke talking, but I just take all this stuff as he's basically saying, listen to me, you idiot. I'm trying to freaking help you here. And if you're not going to listen to me, then I'm going to have to speak your language to make you open your eyes and realize that you're being disobedient. And if that means everything going wrong, like all these things, everything going wrong in your life, and it feels like everything's working against you, sometimes that's what it takes for us to open our eyes and go, man, me in control here. I'm like I've talked about before, me in control. I'm spiraling, because I'm doing stupid stuff and making bad decisions, and everything's going wrong, or at least I, perceive it as everything going wrong. Because you tend to look at stuff through a negative lens. You don't have Jesus in your life. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, that's how I take that. Everybody gets all bent out of shape about all the rationing of food and this and that, and he's basically saying, just listen to me. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to speak to you in ways that you don't want me to. So stop being stupid.
A good father disciplines his children.
That's right.
Because he has to show them the way. All right, now think about that. Now listen to this from Matthew, the love your enemies section here. It's like chapter 5, verse 43.
Yeah.
It says, and it's not exact, but it matches up in some ways. It says, "You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have?" He's saying that, we walk through life, and if we have no trials, you're not tempted to sin. I mean, you are basically, you're going through life untested. And I think, let me think of like Job or something like that.
How do you learn and grow if you don't ever go through anything?
Absolutely. That's it right there. And it's not worth anything to say that, hey, I love this person that always says I'm great.
Yeah.
That's not worth anything. Are you loving the person that
hates your guts?
Yeah, hates your guts. Like in your case, that you might have had a verbal sparring match with, you still love that guy afterwards. If you have a falling out with family members, you still love them afterwards. I think that's what it is. I think it's, you're going to be tested. It said it rains on the just and the unjust. I
Yep.
mean, life's not fair. That's what I see when I read that. It says, life ain't fair. Get over it and do the right thing.
Yep. And that falls right into, I think we've talked about it before. If not, I know you've seen this presented before. Was people say, well, why? If I'm following God, and I'm trying to do all the right things and all this, and why is the other guy benefiting? Also, you would think God would be smiting him down or something, because he's living worldly. And just like you just said, um, it rains on it's an equal playing field. Just because you've got Jesus doesn't mean everything's hunky dory from that point on. You have to go through stuff in order to learn and grow. And it's how you react to those tough things in life that really puts your faith to the test.
Yeah. I think you have to decide whether, because in Matthew here, it also is talking about different things. Like it says, giving to the needy, loving your enemies, the Lord's Prayer. And a lot of these things, it's saying you do what you're doing. You don't do it for people to see it. It said, given to the needy. It says, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Yeah. And they say that people who are doing these things for this purpose receive their reward now.
Yeah,
in the world. So I think that's what the case is. You have all this
it's
money.
Like when he's talking about the Pharisees, how they basically put themselves up on a pedestal as, hey, look at me up here talking about this, this, and this. And like you just said, he says, well, they receive their reward right then. In other words, they better enjoy the pat on the back that they're getting from men right then, because they're not getting a pat on the back from me later.
Right. Because think about it, if you're doing that stuff and maybe speaking to people that are wondering, like, is Jesus right for me? I don't know how better to say that, but that's it. You're not doing these things to be noticed. You're doing these things because they're authentic conversations with God, like in the case of prayer. You're not doing it so, hey, look at that guy. He really knows how to pray. We talked about this before. You know, it's about a real conversation. Like you come into grips with praying in front of people. You said, I'm having a conversation with God. That's the appeal of it. It's that you're a better person.
Yeah. Well, that's just like these athletes or actors or whoever. You'll see them get on TV or whatever, and it's like, oh, he started a foundation, or so and so donates $250,000 to cancer research or whatever. And it's like, why do you feel the need to toot your own horn? And I think it was, if I ain't mistaken, and I'm not saying that he is some great godly man or whatever, because I don't know if he is or not, but I tend to think that he's not a Christian person. But I seen somebody ask Shaquille O'Neal on TV one night about giving and donating and helping out kids in the community and stuff like that. And he actually donates millions of dollars every year, and he just don't tell anybody about it, And they asked him about it. And that's exactly what he said. He said, why do I have to tell anybody about it? I'm genuine in my giving. I don't do it to get a pat on the back from media or anybody. I do it because I want to do it. And I think that's how we should approach Christianity too, is, I'm trying to please the Lord. I'm not trying to please anybody, it ain't about pleasing anybody, anybody else. And I'm going to help people even when I'm not in the spotlight.
That's a good thing about Christ gave us an example of how to do this. And that's exactly what this says here. I'm looking at Philippians, and it's talking, and it says, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Jesus Christ, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equally with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men. And being found in human form, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Which I think, that's what we're talking about here. I mean, that's what's so beautiful about Jesus, because he didn't have to do any of this stuff. He did it, and he experienced all this stuff as a man. Yep. So that's what makes this story, the story I think should appeal to everybody, because they're selfless, and like the guys who followed him, there's no point in be misleading and saying they weren't what they said they were, because they all died for it,
Yeah.
and they could have avoided that real easy. So
Yeah.
I think maybe people out there who are listening but aren't decided, think about this. These guys all died serving this guy who was the Lord sent to earth, who also died, when they could have all avoided it by just not following this stuff. They did it because it's true.
Yeah. Yep. And it can be hard to do. Well, look at the disciples. Okay. They were with him every day for 3 years, learning from him, not through the Bible and through the Holy Spirit working in your life, from Jesus himself, walking and talking with it. And I think there were still, even after 3 years, there were questions about what they should do and where they should go and this and that. Even when he after his resurrection, he comes back and is telling them what to do, and he's having to tell them, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go out and make disciples of all nations. And it's like they're still trying to fathom it in their head what they're supposed to do. So if you take somebody that's been able to walk and talk with Jesus for 3 years and absorb all this knowledge from him, and they're still struggling with it up until the very end, on what, I won't say the end, but until he's gone, still trying to figure out what they're supposed to do, we're going to struggle big time,
Yeah.
So
yeah, look at Peter. Peter denied him those 3 times, and that was right there at the very end where he should have been the most in contact with them, his heart should have been filled with this stuff, and he still, he was human. He didn't follow through.
Yep.
Well, people keep texting me. I guess my wife was going to my nephew's graduation. I've been sent many pictures now.
Gotcha.
So,
Anna texted me and said, ask Zach if he got that shirt from Sam's Club. It looked like the one I got for you. I think we've already had this
we already discussed this, and yes, it came from Sam's Club.
And I had that exact shirt.
We had this, because I get a lot of shirts at Sam's Club. I don't know about you, but they're very stylish.
Well, Anna gets mad at me because she'll buy me. You'd think she'd know by now. I've been married for 13 years. Okay. She'll go and buy, like, when she bought that shirt, she bought a different blue shirt, and then she bought like this really, it's not lime green, but it's like this really, like, almost like seafoam green, I guess. And then also like a peachish like shirt. And I'm like, and I never wear the seafoam or the peach shirt. I wear the 2 blue ones over and over and over. And she's like, just throw them away. Just throw them away. And I'm like, no, don't throw them away. She said, you ain't gonna never wear them. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, you knew when you bought that. I'm not gonna wear that.
That's funny. I've had that too. I was like, oh, a new shirt, cool. And I just never wear it.
Yeah.
Great job, babe. Great job.
I got Justin every color, and he is a baby.
Was she in the chat?
Yeah, she's in the chat.
Oh, I didn't know she was in the chat.
Yeah.
Your kids are in the chat too?
Oh, wow, she is. I didn't even see that.
That's funny.
Hey, Dad. I guess they're all sitting in the living room creeping.
That is funny. Color is a baby. I'm sure my wife was having a baby too, actually, so I'm not going to say anything. Absolutely, she would. It's that special time.
Yeah, it is.
You're in charge of special time.
I'm in charge.
You're the president of special time.
That sounds weird.
It does sound weird. That sounds extremely disturbing.
Yep.
I'm going to say that's the end of the show I'm talking about. There you go.
End of the show.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. If you're listening on podcast, give us a star rating. Help us out. Let us know what you think. Tell your friends. Tell them to come hang out in the chat. Listen to the podcast. Maybe it'll help somebody. Till next time, y'all take care.